Hello everyone, my name is Heather. Welcome back to my channel. On this channel I talk about books, social justice, and history. And today I want to do a little bit of a bookshelf tour. Some of the things I read a lot are fiction, specifically magical realism, multi-generational sagas, romance, and and I guess a lot of novels that have like politics weaved into them, because I'm a big fan of history and politics. I also read some nonfiction about social justice, racial justice. I have some books here on political theory. So if you are interested in this bookshelf that I'm super proud of, I spent like 5 hours one day redoing it before starting my booktube channel. I'd be really happy if you stuck around and let me show you it. For me, my top shelf here is just all about love. I have poetry, I have books with photos and memories. I have this gorgeous box here full of bookmarks. And on top of that, I have Pablo Neruda poetry because I love Pablo Neruda so much. There's one verse in particular that I would love to have tattooed on me. And then we have my friend Sergio Diaz de Rojas's cassette tape full of his classical music and some poetry by his partner Serafina. Next I have the bouquet I caught at my cousin's wedding, and then behind that we have a cigar box that my dad turned into a purse, which I actually think is really cool. Then we have some of my favorite poetry by Jessica Salgado, and she is a Salvadoran poet based in LA, and her work is just so gorgeous, really heart-wrenching, and I just find so much inspiration from her writing. And then lastly we have this cute little jewelry box that my partner gave me when he bought me a necklace for Valentine's Day. I just thought it was really cute, and it fits perfectly, like all the colors fit perfectly with this shelf. And this shelf for me is just like all about romance and happiness, and I think it's really pretty. My poetry and my little mementos flow into my romance section, so I do read romance, but usually the romance plots are kind of intertwined with other genres. So these are some of my books that are like purely romance, and some of my favorites are these two by Alexis Daria, You Had Me at Hola, and A Lot Like Adios, because they feature Puerto Rican women falling in love in New York City, specifically in the Bronx, and you just don't see that kind of representation in novels. These are some of my favorite romance books. So finally on this top shelf I have my Teen Vogue magazine collection. I started buying these right before my freshman year of high school. I stopped buying them after high school. So this collection spans my entire high school career, which I think is really cool, and I'm excited to like look back on these and see what was popular. I'm sure a lot of fashion that is coming back into style would be in these magazines, because I feel like the trends are cycling faster than they used to. When I was growing up I wanted to work in fashion, so I have this Teen Vogue Handbook which talked about all the jobs that you could have in fashion and how to get started in those jobs. And then I also have some books here. I thought this was fitting for my Teen Vogue section, Bad Girls Throughout History, which is a book my best friend bought me. Then we also have Capture Your Style by Ami Song. So then next below my Vogue shelf I have another shelf which has all my magazines from Hearst magazines and Nylon. I was a junior in high school. I thought Nylon was the coolest magazine. I thought it was edgy, I thought it was grungy. I was obsessed with it. And then just to the side I have some old daily planners. Next I use some of these middle shelves here to display some of my favorite books. So this is 1,000 Ships by Natalie Haynes. It is one of my favorite novels. It follows the lives of women impacted by the Trojan War, and it's a fictionalized history of all the women who fought, the women who were captured in the aftermath, and how they experienced heartbreak and grief and strength and resilience. And I just really enjoyed this book. So here we have my fiction shelf, which I think is my favorite shelf of my entire bookcase. I love the way that I've organized the spines, and the colors I feel kind of flow really pretty across the shelf. So it starts off with like the orange and blues into a like green yellow, then the reds. I just think it's so pretty. So I want to start right to left because some of my favorite books are on the right, and I want to end with those. One of my favorites is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. And this was a multi-species space opera romance sci-fi novel. It was really fun. My next favorite, one of my favorite books of all time, is Ocean Vuong's On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous. Wow. So this book is so beautiful. I love Ocean's writing style. I love the prose in this novel. I love the use of metaphor, and I think the use of metaphor adds so much beauty to this novel. The next, one of my other favorites, is There by Tommy Orange, which is an Indigenous author. And this book really changed my perspective on writing about colonialism, because this book names colonialism explicitly, which I've never seen before in a novel. My next favorite is The Interior Circuit by Francisco Goldman. This novel follows a man in Mexico City after a nightclub is held hostage. The attendees are kidnapped, and we kind of watch this story unfold throughout the novel, and these events are real. They did happen in real life, so it makes the book, I think, feel like there's a lot more at stake, because you know that it was real lives that this involved. Then next we have Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore by Robin Sloan. This book was so fun. Also, the spine glows in the dark. Every time you go to sleep, there's just this one little book glowing on my bookshelves. But this book has a romance plotline in it that the book doesn't revolve around. The relationship in this book starts, it runs its course, and it ends amicably, which I thought was just so freaking cool, because I've never seen anything like that in a novel. It was just like a healthy portrayal of a relationship, which I thought was fantastic. And then next we have Olga Dies Dreaming on display here. I love the cover. I love supporting a Puerto Rican author. And then over here, all the way on the left, we have some of my favorite novels, which is The Brief Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde by Juno Diaz. One of the reasons I loved this book was because of the way that the history is portrayed in it. It's written as footnotes, and it's written as if you have a friend who is talking to you. I've never seen a book use footnotes in the way that Juno does, and I read it in 2 days because I just could not put it down. And we have Salt Houses by Hala Alian, which follows a Palestinian family as they migrate around the Middle East after being pushed out of their home by Israel. And I found that this book was really beautiful. It followed, different family members over the course of a few generations. And I just love when novels explore things like colonialism, things like migration, generational trauma, and this concept of memory and identity and what that means. Then lastly, we have another Puerto Rican author, Esmeralda Santiago. Talks a lot about growing up within rural Puerto Rican communities and then moving to the United States and what that shift was like. So then next we have one of the shelves I'm most proud of. We have my Puerto Rico history shelf. So we have this gorgeous Palante reader, which is about the Young Lords. It has stories, first-hand accounts, and photographs from the Young Lords movement. It was a revolutionary movement of Puerto Ricans in New York City during the 1960s and 70s. Then we have some other books. We have We Fed an Island, which follows Chef Andres through Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria, and it really showcases how inefficient the local and federal government was at helping Puerto Rican citizens. Then we have some other books. We have this reader by Pedro Albizu Campos, who was a revolutionary independence leader in Puerto Rico. Then we have some fiction. We have a Bible that my grandma gave me. And then we have our Holy Grail, War Against Puerto Ricans by Nelson Dennis. This book is so good at talking about events that happened in Puerto Rico's history that is not really taught in schools. It's not really talked about ever. This little coin that my dad gave me, which has the El Yunque rainforest on it. So we have a birthday card for my parents, which has my favorite tree on it, the Flamboyant Tree. This tree is all over the Caribbean. It has these bright red crimson blossoms that I'm so in love with. And then we have Puerto Rico Independence is a Necessity by Rafael Cancel Miranda. He also was a member of the pro-independence movement. Then I have a shelf. A lot of it are books that I read in grad school. We have some iconic authors on the shelf. We have Zora Neale Hurston, James Baldwin, Octavia Butler. We have some other readings on white rage, on Black reproductive justice, on critical race theory. I need more space because the shelf that's below it, I think, fits in really well together, and I'd love to have them all on one shelf. But right now I just don't have the space for that. So here we have my children's lit shelf. It's so so cute, isn't it? We have some books that my mom gave me a couple years ago for Christmas. I think these are books that she wished I had as a kid. These little books, which I don't really think they go here, but I think they're little and they're cute, and I don't think you're ever too young to be a feminist. Then we have this book by Juno Diaz. It comes in English and Spanish. I bought the English version. It's called Island Born, and it's about this little Dominican girl learning about her family's history. And it has this like element of magical realism in it, and it's very, very cute. Then we have some graphic novels, Pumpkinheads, Sheets, and then a YA urban fantasy, Blood Like Magic. And then finally we have the cutest little stuffed animal. This was my stuffed animal when I was little. It was from my favorite book, Goodnight Moon, and I could not go to sleep without it. This shelf I think is kind of cute. It has some miscellaneous history. It has like a New York City theme. We have my Humans of New York book collection that my mom got me for Christmas one year. Some textbooks from when I was in college on the history of New York City. We have some old journals and notebooks. And then we have two books. We have Contemporary European History, and I have this here because my grandfather, my mom's dad, he was Ukrainian and he grew up in New York City, so I have kind of like this blend of European and New York history going on. When I was growing up, my mom used to collect Matryoshka dolls. She has so many of them, so this is my own that she gave me. And then lastly, we have this book called The Liberators of Pilsen, about the 16th Armored Division of World War II, and my grandfather, he was stationed in the Czech Republic and he helped liberate Pilsen from the Nazis. This is a book I really want to read, and I'm excited to learn more about like that aspect of family history. Moving down below to this shelf, we have my racial justice, social justice books continued, and I really would love a shelf where they can all live together. So we have a privileged reader, we have Pedagogy of the Oppressed, The New Jim Crow, Emergent Strategy, All About Love, Are Prisons Obsolete, like all these readings that are so essential to our understanding about race in the United States. This is my Latin American history shelf / political theory shelf. We have some books stacked up on the right, some books on political theory, on abolition. We have some magazines with iconic covers. We have Candle and a little equity stress ball. And then we move into a lot of my textbooks from undergrad. These two books here are actually from my graduate degree. I had a professor who was changing buildings for his office, and he didn't want to carry all of his books over. So he invited the whole class to his office to take whatever books we wanted for ourselves. So these were the two that I took. Then we move into a lot of my textbooks. I have some books from my communications major, and we have a couple readers from my professors. I have a reader on Latin American history and a reader on citizen journalism. And then finally, we have a binder of my family's Puerto Rican heritage. It's like our family tree. So this is my inspiration shelf. I have some books about travel, some travel fiction, books on travel writing, books on budgeting for travel. I have some mementos, a box full of all these little trinkets and memories and photos of my time in Europe after I graduated undergrad. And then I have my writing books on writing prompts, lessons for young writers, women writing women, some journals. This journal here is one of my favorites. It is a gift from one of my uncles. I'm just waiting for the perfect moment to use this journal. I'm not sure what I'm waiting for, but hopefully one day soon. And then I have these gorgeous Ukrainian eggs that I got at a Ukrainian festival years and years ago. We have a little jar for funds for adventures, and a note from one of my high school teachers who was very supportive in my writing journey. And then underneath all of this, we have my grandfather's fountain pens. And then here are the last two shelves I'm going to show you. I just have, again, one of my favorite novels. It's a signed copy. I saw it at Barnes & Noble and I had to pick it up. And then we have some old business cards from grad school, another box of mementos that are more recent, a whole bunch of journals, and Tomi Adeyemi's Children of Blood and Bone. And that's all I'm going to show you because my bottom shelf is very miscellaneous, not very much that's exciting. So thank you so much for watching this video. I'm so grateful that you did, that you stuck around this long. And if you want to watch more of my videos, if you want to support this channel, please give this video a like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell so that you know when new content is dropped. And again, my name is Heather. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next Saturday. Bye.